Welcome to the Community Action Partnership Podcast. My name is Jesse, and joining me today is Jamie Carney. We also have a special guest today who has participated in Community Action Partnerships programs and has a great story to share. Kat is a graduate of our workshops through our Future Story initiative and is also now a Community Action Partnership board member. Today in our podcast, we're going to be talking about relationships, resources, and reasons. Our mission at Community Action Partnership is to be a catalyst for building relationships that inspire and equip people to end poverty in our community. Community Action Partnership envisions a community working together to end poverty. We envision a community where all people are equipped to achieve their potential, have sufficient resources, relationships, and meaning in their lives to thrive, and are valued and able to meet their own needs by utilizing their talents, potentials, and passions. Today, our special guest is a perfect example of Community Action's mission and vision. Welcome, Kat.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining. We're really excited to have you here today. Is this your first podcast?
Yes, it is.
It's a little nerve-wracking, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous.
That was a mouthful right there to say, too, to start it off. But we are very happy to have you here. So, Kat, we've kind of have watched you grow for quite a while now.
Yes.
So when we were thinking about, we wanted to have a guest come on that could talk about what was it like before you came to Community Action Partnership, kind of like some of the things, some of the struggles that you might have went through, and then some of the things that you learned as you went through your journey, and some of the things that we've been able to see you grow through and just become the person that you've become today. And we're really excited to have this conversation with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself? Like, if people watching didn't know anything about you, how would you describe yourself? What would you say to them?
How would I describe myself today?
Who is Kat?
I'm from Alaska. I grew up in Kodiak, Alaska, and I moved to Washington in about 2018. I'm a single mom with 4 kiddos that I love. We like to do a lot of stuff outside, and I'm very goal driven right now and working on finishing up a lot of goals in my life. But
awesome.
It's great.
So we kind of want to just do a run through with you and kind of get an idea of, why don't you tell us a little bit about before you came to Community Action Partnership, whatever you're comfortable to share, a little bit about what was going on in your life at that time, how were things going, what brought you into Community Action?
Before I came to the Community Action Partnership, I was kind of I was at a place in life where I was having to start over from everything. We went from having a home and everything you needed to staying at the YWCA. My entire life, I have been a stay-at-home mom. So I didn't have any work experience except for taking care of the kids. And I wasn't sure what to do to support them or to give them the life that we had before.
Okay. So you had your kids with you at the YWCA then?
Yes, all 4 kids.
Okay. And so that must have been a pretty tough time for you then to go through that.
It definitely was. I think for all of us, because the change in, not only the change in our housing situation, but the change in just life in general and trying to figure it out.
Right. Right.
Kind of being stable and then being unstable and really not understanding or knowing what's going to happen next, but trying to work through that, right?
And also being in a new area. We didn't know anybody here and didn't really know who to reach out to or where to go or anything like that.
Right. Okay, so it sounds to me like you had an unstable living situation. You were in a new environment, kind of in a place that you'd never been before. And I'm sure that was an extremely hard thing to go through. And I know that for me, if I was in that situation, I would probably had a lot of feelings of despair and, and just probably depression and things like that. I mean, what were some of those things that you were experiencing while you were going through that?
I know that I kind of felt lost because we didn't know what to do. I had never been in a situation before where we just didn't have a home. Yeah, I was scared. I lacked confidence because I didn't have the work experience necessary to get a job and support the kids. So I really felt defeated and like, I just didn't know what to do.
Right.
I didn't feel like there were any options and knew I had to figure something out.
So what was it how did you come to the point where you found community action, or what brought you to community action?
I believe I was just reaching out everywhere I could. I was calling everywhere I could. I called the Salvation Army. I talked to the YWCA. And then someone had directed me to come talk to the Community Action Partnership. So I came in and I made an appointment and tried to see what you guys were all about.
Great.
So what was if you could remember back when you first walked through our doors, what was that first interaction like for you coming through Community Action Partnership?
Well, I know I was excited because you guys had granola bars for the kids to eat.
We probably had coffee then too.
Yeah. There was toys for them to play with, and it was a good vibe when we walked in because everybody was really welcoming, and we got in pretty quickly. They didn't require me to have like tons of paperwork or anything like that, and made it really easy for me to talk to somebody and get help. Which is something that I was lacking for a while and held me back from getting help at a lot of other places.
So had you heard about Community Action Partnership before that experience? No?
Nope. I never heard of you guys.
Okay.
When you came in, what were you expecting to receive?
I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I was just trying to find direction, help, and figure out what, where I needed to go.
Was there anything that you found surprising about community action?
Everybody in there was really understanding, and I didn't feel judged or anything. And I know that a lot of places that I went when I first moved here, I would run into people that were either rude or they lacked compassion, or the kids weren't comfortable. But it just was a really comfortable place for me and the kids to go, so I felt more comfortable asking for help and sharing why I needed different resources.
Right.
That's great.
I think that's a big thing too, because especially when you have kids, because I have little kids, and anytime you're going into somewhere where you feel like you're having to ask for help, or you're already feeling something inside about doing that, and then with your kids there, you're worried about like, are people going to judge me? You know what I mean? If my kids are acting up a little bit, are they going to look at me like, however, you know what I mean? I think that's a big thing, and I think a lot of people don't think about that. When it's like, well, why didn't you just go into this place and get help? And it's like, well, because there's a lot of feelings that go along with that, and it's hard to do that.
Yeah, having to have all the kids there, but even when we weren't in the lobby and we went and talked to somebody in the back, there was toys in the back for them to play with, or stuff for them to draw with, and it just made it kind of a smooth interaction because I wasn't having to run around and chase them, and they were. It really helped a lot.
Well, I'm glad that was the experience that you had,
Too.
Yeah.
So we really want to kind of just get into a little bit, because I know when I had talked about what we were going to talk about today in this podcast, we really wanted to talk a little bit about relationships, resources, and reasons, because that's one of our main thing in their Future Story Initiative program, is to build healthy relationships, to gain as many resources as possible to help you get ahead in life, and also the reasons behind why you're doing what you're doing, because having a strong sense of motivation is a big factor in life, because you could have everything lined up that you need, but if you don't have that reason that drives you to do, what you need to do, then chances are you're not going to get any further, you know? So one of the things we want to do here is just kind of ask you a little bit about, like, when you think back to those days when you were kind of struggling, and you think about the relationships that you had before you started this journey, because we really want people that are watching this to get a feel for how far you really have come, you know, in all of these areas. And so we really just kind of want to get an understanding of what was it like back then? What were your relationships like back then? Did you have healthy relationships?
Was that an area you needed to grow and work on?
It really was. All of my friends were back in Alaska. So here I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a lot of motivation and confidence. So I didn't feel like I could talk to people. I was very shy because I wasn't confident in who I was. So making friends was also hard. And not having a support system made it even harder on me. And then also not knowing how to talk to people and make friends made that even harder.
I could see that being really difficult, especially with, you know, how unstable things were, and then also being in a new area. You know, I think a lot of us take for granted when we live somewhere, you have family members or friends and things like that. And for you, coming from Alaska to a place where you really didn't know anybody, that I could see how that could be really difficult.
Yeah.
So when we get into talking about, obviously, resources as well, I'm going to guess that you didn't have a whole lot of resources back then.
No. If that's, you know, I had to bring my kids everywhere. If I needed a babysitter, I couldn't get a babysitter. If, you know, my car broke down, I didn't have someone that I could just call to help me. I very much had to figure everything out on my own and just figure out how to do it. And I felt like that's just how it was going to be, you know?
Yeah.
That
I can remember when I first met you and you were in for some direct service, building your resources, finding out information, and kind of getting a bearings on, you know, stabilizing and what's in the area. And I know Gail had referred you over to the Future Story Initiative.
yes.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that maybe that was a great place to be able to start growing those relationships that you were lacking.
It really was. It helped me get out and talking to people again, which was a big thing because I almost forgot how to talk to people. You know, I didn't even know who I was or what I wanted for myself. So being able to talk to people and then building that confidence helped me, you know, with networking and not finding other resources, but finding a support system of healthy people.
Yeah, I think that
Be
Future
there.
Story Initiative, you're kind of in a place where you're with similar people.
Yes.
Maybe not the same exact struggle, but kind of maybe trying to grow and learn
Yep.
and build your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you obviously must have had some type of motivation back then to start this journey to where you're at right now.
Absolutely.
So what was it that helped drive you? What was a motivating factor for you? What was the reason behind you deciding that, hey, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to put this work in and I'm going to ask for help and I'm going to do this to get to a better place?
My biggest motivation was my kids.
Kids.
There's no giving up when you have kids,
Yeah.
and they needed a home, food, clothes, all that stuff. And I also wanted them to see that if no matter what happens, we can make it work.
Right.
And no matter what happens, even me with 4 kids in a place that we've never been before, like, it's going to be okay as long as you don't give up. And it was important for me for them to see that, you know, there was no failing, that it was going to be okay.
Right.
Even though I was scared, they didn't have to know that.
Yeah. You do what you have to do for your kids, right?
Yeah.
And give them the best life. But I'm sure that somewhere else in there, it was more than just for your kids.
Yeah.
You know, because what you've been able to do from then until now is amazing.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your journey's been and what you've worked on, accomplished since you first met
Yeah.
us?
Part of the things that we learned in the essential learning course is it kind of helped us figure out what we wanted to do, like, because do you want to go to school, do you want to get a job? And for me, I couldn't get a good paying job for my kids without the experience or schooling or anything like that. And I figured out that there was options at the local community college. So you and Jesse actually walked me into the college, because I had such low self-esteem. I wasn't even in confidence. I didn't even want to walk in the college alone. And I signed up for college for medical billing and coding. And since then I kept going. I've gotten some associate's degrees, and this winter I will be finishing my double bachelor's in business administration with honors, and hopefully this spring be buying a house, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
That
That's really
was
great.
something on my goals that I didn't think that I would accomplish. So it's pretty cool to be there.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I am a former graduate myself from many, many, many years ago. But that was one of the things that I said too, and I was very adamant about it. Like I said, I will never in my life own a house. It's just not in my cards. It's too late for me. It's just not going to happen. And then you just put some hard work in there and stuff. And, I know you will make it happen.
Yes. Yeah. Even stuff like credit, because we learned about that in the course. And I think there was a class that we had the option to go to about home loans and stuff like that to learn about credit. So I was able to take all that and build my credit from very low up to now I can actually get a home loan.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
So I see stuff where you do traveling and stuff like that. So
Yes.
what's that for?
I was in PBLA with the college and with honors. So I have
Can you tell us what PBLA is?
Future Business Leaders of America, and I have competed in different business testing and stuff like that, and I've won. So I've gotten to travel to Chicago and Florida to go to nationals, and there I won first place one year and third place the next year, which was pretty exciting.
Congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
huge.
Thank you.
When is that something you ever visioned seeing yourself doing?
It's not. I wouldn't have even tried before. I think once I started college, because when I first started college, it would take me up to 3 hours just to do a simple paper, because it wasn't hard for me, but I felt like I wasn't doing a good job. And then once I started believing that I was doing good when I was getting good grades, I just wanted to do more and more because it felt good. And then I had the networking that came with it and different people I was meeting. And it was motivating to me.
So I'm hearing, as you're talking, I'm hearing you say that you're lacking resources, but through this journey, you have built all these resources so you can be in a much better place and be able to accomplish all of these things. I'm hearing you've built resources and skills and knowledge through this entire journey that's really, it's setting you up for achieving those big things in your future that you want to see for yourself that you didn't even think that you could do. And I just think I think it's
It's exciting. I had, while going to school, 2 years on the Student Government Association as vice president. So that gives me work experience to go along with my college. And I'll be leaving college with all the tools I need to get that job that I can support the kids with.
Fantastic.
So tell me, how did you end up on Community Action Partnership's board?
They were looking for a member at the end of at the graduation from the essential learning class, and I jumped to it. Wanted to be a part of it. I really enjoyed the class and being around people, and I think that was important to me. And I still didn't have a lot of friends yet, so it was still a way for me to get out and participate in something.
That's very cool. So how are your relationships today?
They are awesome. I have a huge support system from both CAP, from school, different places that I've been. I feel like the more positive things that I've been doing in my life, and the more I believe in myself, I've built confidence, I'm reaching goals, the more positive people are coming into my life. So I have a really great just village of people for me and the kids that I can call anytime, and I know we'll be there, and I'm also there for them, and they also encourage me a lot.
That's really great.
Where you're at now, Kat, if a challenge were to arise, or maybe a hurdle or a speed bump, how would you approach that today? Do you feel like you would approach that differently, the person you are today and where you're at, than the person you were back then?
I would. I think there's been a lot of challenges since then, because it's never just easy, and
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it's not easy all the time. But when I saw that I was capable of doing so much, when something happens, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, it's all done, it's all over. I know I can fix it. And I know that there's going to be a way, or I'll find a way to fix it, because I'm almost to the end of all my goals. So if anything hasn't stopped me yet, nothing else will.
Kat, what kind of advice do you have, or would you give somebody who was in a position like you were before? That would, what kind of advice would you give them if they were struggling?
I would say not to give up. You might reach out to 3 or 4 places, and they might not be able to help you, and then find a place that can. I would say try to get yourself out as much as you can into like different groups and stuff like that, where there's healthy people, where you can make healthy friends, even if it's uncomfortable, because that is really important in making a change, is changing the people that you have around you and having a healthy group of people around you.
And I think that goes right back to, building those relationships, resources, and knowing those reasons and having those positive motivations. When I first, was introduced to you, I could see the potential that you had. I know you weren't feeling like you had that confidence or maybe seeing yourself doing that, but I could see where you could grow and just develop. And so, it's just been an honor watching you and seeing all of your successes.
Thank you. And that helped, that helped a lot. Because I know that even as I was going through school, I would just pop in and be like, hey, guess what,
And we
and
love
to kind of tell you guys what I was doing. Like, it was so exciting. And to have somebody there cheering me on, like really thinking that I could do it, it helped me a lot. Because when you can't believe in yourself and you don't feel like you can do it, having other people thinking that you really can do it, that can be the push that you need to accomplish your goals and succeed.
Yeah, that's the importance of healthy relationships, right? And that's one of the main reasons why we focus on that so much in the Future Story Initiative, because we realize how impactful it can be to have people that you can talk to, that are on your side, that can lift you up, and that can celebrate with you when you achieve these little victories in your life, and to have somebody who Especially if you're in a situation where you just feel everything is bleak and you're just hopeless and all that. And then you have somebody who looks at you and says, I know you can do it, and has faith in you and believes in you. It's a really impactful thing. You know what
It
I mean? To
is.
feel that, feel that on the other side, I know I've been on the other side of that, and I've had somebody do that for me, and it completely changed my life just by having somebody believe in me,
Yep.
and so that's why we feel it's so important to have those healthy relationships, and then when you have those, you can build all those resources, and then obviously having the motivation is a big factor as well. Now, I'm sure your motivation is still your kids,
Yeah.
but from what I've seen from you, I would guess that there are other motivating factors as well now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because before I even knew college or actually getting a good job was an option, I was thinking, how am I going to work 3 or 4 jobs?
Right.
And yeah, it's been a big, good change. And it's something that I didn't think would happen. And having you guys, every 6 months, and then every once in a while we'll call and check up and be like, what are you doing? Do you need anything? It's been really helpful.
Well, we're still here, even though you may not need
Yeah.
anything from us. We still want you to come in and say hello and let us know of your victories and stuff. So do you have anything planned for your next future steps? Like what's on the horizon? I heard you talk about a home.
Yes. Yep. I'm buying a home.
And what happens after you graduate college? Have you thought about what you're going to do next?
I'll be finding my career next, wherever that is. I'm not sure quite what I'm going to be getting into yet, but I'll have quite a few options with what my degrees are.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I just want to say it's been a joy watching you grow and turn into the person you are today. And we're glad that you gave us a chance and did, showed that courage and bravery to come into community action that first time in your tough spot. And, we're
Thank you.
just so proud of you. And thanks for coming on and joining us today and sharing with everybody what your experience has been like.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're extremely proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself. I know your kids are proud of you and what you've done. And this is, being able to hear stories like this and to see people grow and become successful in life. This is why we do what we do. There's times our job is difficult sometimes. It's extremely difficult when you have the amount of people that are in need today that need help without all the funding to do it and all the resources ourselves to fill all the needs of everybody in the community. We try our best, but it gets hard, and having to turn somebody down because you don't have something immediately for them is difficult. And you take a lot of that home, even though you don't want to, you take a lot of that home from work, and then you feel bad about it and stuff. But when we get the opportunity to watch somebody grow and see how far they've come, that's like, it makes all of that hard work worth it, and these stories are what keeps us going in our job, and what keeps us sticking around at Community Action Partnership. That's what we want to see, and this is why we do what we do. And so we really appreciate you sharing your story with us, and we're really proud of you.
No problem. I do hope, when I first started, I think that if I was to hear somebody that was in my situation without the support system, kind of just, almost a rock bottom, that if I saw somebody in that situation, I think I would have been pretty motivated seeing them be in my situation to move on to accomplish goals. So I don't mind sharing my story, just because if somebody is in my situation and be motivated, I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah. And we really hope that anybody that's listening to our podcast and if they're in a similar situation like you were in the past, I hope they know that we are available. We're available to contact by phone, in person, come into our location. We I mean, this is what we're passionate about. We want to help change lives. We want people to be successful in life.
Today, we talked about relationships, resources, and reasons with our special guest, Kat. She brought us through her journey of where she was and where she's now come through and where she's going to be headed in the future. If you felt Kat's story, or maybe feel like you're in a position where she was and are interested in having some help or having support from Community Action, please don't hesitate to come out and reach out to us, give us a call, or come into the office. We'd love to be that support system for you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us today. Community Action Partnership is a nonprofit organization. All the services we provide are free of charge to income qualifying community members. What we talked about today is just a bit of what we cover in our coaching and workshops. For more information, you can check out our website at cap4action.org. That's CAP, the number 4, action.org. You could also just give us a call at 1-800-326-4843 or come visit one of our locations. We would like to thank our sponsor, Optum Idaho, for making this series possible.